Well, welcome back, everybody. For those that have joined us, we began our council meeting at 3 o'clock this afternoon, and we just recessed, and now we're back in session. We have, at this time, excuse me, we have a presentation to make. It's a privilege to recognize achievements of our staff, so I'm going to ask our Chief Building Inspector and Bylaw Officer, Mr. Frisland Enslin, to come forward. And Ingram Luva, if there you are, if you would come forward down here, I will join you for this presentation.
Mine. Oh, no battery. Take mine.
Funny, the battery is missing. That's not working so well. Don't drop that. That's a beauty. Tonight we are recognizing the achievement of Ingram Luva, a senior building inspector here in the county. You're no stranger to us, sir. He has recently achieved the national certificate. This is the big one, the national one. From the Alliance of Canadian Building Officials. The Alliance has been in place since 1966, and it has been instrumental in developing education, certificate standards, and developing programs. The training provides a consistent and uniform approach and understanding of code application across Canada and increase the level of professional recognition of our building officials. The National Association serves as an effective voice in encouraging communications with industry and government, and as well, it advocates upon national issues affecting our building officials. This national certification is important in leading to consistent approaches across the county, which leads to safer buildings, as well as increased recognition of the work of building officials and the profession. Mr. Ingram, Council would like to congratulate you on this achievement you've achieved, and we appreciate the work of our building inspectors, and keep up the good work. Congratulations. You two both can say something. Nobody wants a picture here. You stay here. Do you want to say a few words? You don't have to, but why not? Why not? Go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, you've summed up basically what this certificate speaks to.
Yes.
It's been a long journey. This started back in 1991. Wow. So that's...
I'm thinking it's about 18 years almost, 17 years.
It took a while. Something that we should also say is the Canadian standard for building officials is the highest, you could say, on the planet. All other countries look to us for guidance and standards or in building. We take our Canadian technology or our methodology and we take it all over the world.
Just fighting some bronchitis, so excuse my voice here. Certainly, yeah, I'm very proud of Ingram for achieving this recognition. It is a long time to get that. They look at things like education and skills and experience all combined, so there's certain hours that need to be put into place in order to get this kind of recognition, and there's a large application process and everything to get that. So it's very rewarding for me as a chief building official and a manager to have staff that are recognized in this sort of capacity. It sets us above the rest and gives us a leading edge. So very good job. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Here, now here's what I read, and I know it's not, that's his first name, oh well, I apologize too. It's now time for our public meeting, our public hearing portion of tonight's meeting. Tonight, I believe we have two applications. One, two. Yes, okay. I will now officially open the public meetings held under the Planning Act and the Municipal Act under the Norfolk County Policy. I advise everyone in attendance that the Ontario Municipal Board has the power under the Planning Act to dismiss an appeal to either a zoning bylaw and/or an official plan amendment if the appellant does not make oral submissions at the public meeting or does not make a written submission to Norfolk County Council before the zoning bylaw is passed and/or the official plan amendment is adopted. I would also advise everyone in attendance at this meeting that they are televised and web streamed, and all items discussed are a matter of public record. Council, I know you're already on page 166 of our agenda. This is staff report DCS 1712. This is an application that we have received is to construct an accessory building requiring relief from section 3.2.1B of the zoning bylaw to permit an accessory building in the front yard, and relief of 151.8 square meters from the maximum permitted usable floor area of 55 square meters to permit a usable floor area of 206.8 square meters, which includes other accessory buildings on the property, and 0.6 meters from the maximum permitted height of 5 meters to permit a height, of course, of 5.6 meters. Todd Saunders has put forth the application affecting the lands described as 26 Ryerson Crescent in Port Dover. How are you, Alicia? You have both reports tonight, correct? You can start on the first one when you're ready. Thank you.
An application has been received to construct a detached garage requiring relief of 151.8 square meters from the maximum usable floor area of 55 square meters to permit a usable floor area of 206.8 square meters, which includes another accessory building on the property as well, and relief of 0.6 meters from the maximum height of 5 meters to permit a height of 5.6 meters. The applicant is also requesting relief from section 3.2.1B of the zoning bylaw to permit an accessory building in the front yard. The subject lands are 1.5 acres in size and front onto Glendon Road and Ryerson Crescent in Port Dover. The rear of the property is bound by Black Creek. The lands are designated urban residential and hazard land and zoned urban residential type 1 and hazard lands. Surrounding land uses are urban residential in nature. It is staff's opinion that the proposed development is appropriate for this property. The building is being used for personal storage and will match the character of the dwelling. The proposed accessory building will be screened by mature trees and will be well removed from the other accessory building on the property, making it appear less imposing than if they were in a cluster. The property is significantly larger than the minimum required lot size for this zone, which allows for more amenity space and for a larger accessory building to be located on the property and appear appropriate. The front yard functions as a side yard in this case, so the garage won't appear as if it's in front of the dwelling, it will be beside it. Planning staff support this application and recommend that it be approved.
Thank you, Alicia. Questions from the members of council to staff? Not at this time, then I will go through our procedure. Mr. Saunders, are you here? Okay, thank you. I'm going to start by asking if there's anyone in attendance who wishes to speak in favor of the application, and certainly, Mr. Saunders, we always allow the courtesy of the applicant or agent to speak first if you wish. Do you wish to speak? Thank you very much, sir. Is there anyone else in attendance who wishes to speak in support of this application? Is there anyone in attendance who wishes to speak against or in general terms to this application? Are there any further questions? Are there any questions of council? Sorry. I would like a mover and seconder to close this public meeting. Wells is moved, Height seconded. Those in favor? This public meeting is now closed. There is a recommendation on page 166. What are your wishes? Councillor Height, please.
Move for approval.
Move for approval. Wells has seconded. Height has moved. Wells seconded that the application by Todd Saunders, 26 Ryerson Crescent in Port Dover affects the lands described as part of Lot 33, Lot 32, Plan 285. This is in the urban area of Port Dover in Norfolk County. This is to amend the Norfolk County zoning bylaw 1Z 2014. The file number is in front of you. It's being recommended by Height and Wells that it be approved for reasons that are set out in this report. 1712, discussion on the motion. Those in favor? That is carried. Thank you very much. Council, thank you, Mr. Saunders. I'm on page 176 now. It's the staff report, DCS 17-17. This application is received. They're asking to amend Norfolk County zoning bylaw 1Z 2014. This is to establish a temporary use bylaw to permit the use of a garden suite for a period of 5 years upon the the subject lands. A garden suite currently exists on the property. However, the temporary use bylaw permitting it has expired and a new application is required. William Passmore has put this application forward. It affects the lands described as 1333 Charlottesville Road 8. Alicia, all yours. Thank you.
An application has been received to permit the use of a garden suite for a period of 5 years on the subject lands. A bylaw previously permitting the garden suite on the property has expired, so this new application has been submitted. The subject lands are 0.73 acres in size and front onto Charlottesville Road 8. The lands contain a single detached dwelling, 2 accessory buildings, and a garden suite, with woodlands located to the east. Surrounding land uses are rural residential and agricultural in nature. It is planning staff's opinion that this is appropriate development in this location. A bylaw was originally approved in 1993 permitting the garden suite, which still exists on the lot. The need for the garden suite still exists as well. The unit is serviced by its own septic system, and the applicant is aware that the unit has to be removed when the need no longer exists or if the bylaw expires and is not renewed. Planning staff support this application and recommend that it be approved.
Thank you. Questions to this young lady? Councillor Columbus, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and to the planner. 1993 is 24 years ago. Is it the same family member that's living in this garden suite that we're approving tonight?
Through the mayor, yes, it is the same family member.
Thank you.
Further questions? I have one. Alicia, are we going from a 20-year previously bylaw to a new 10-year maximum? I know we went 5 years initially, then 5 terms of 3 renewal for a total of 20. Are we going to 10 now? I know we discussed this with the official plan. Pam, thank you.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, yes, my recollection through the official plan review is that we'll be moving to 10-year increments after some lengthy discussion. Currently now it's 5 years with 3-year renewals, and the maximum is for 20 years.
The move to go from 20 down to 10 now, is that a provincial mandated requirement?
Through you, the Mayor, the maximum is 20 years.
Yes.
We're suggesting, and has been accepted by this council through the issues and options report through the official plan review, to move to 10 years. So it will be initially approved for 10 years and then renewal for another.
Thank you. Couldn't remember where we concluded there. Any other questions for Alicia or Pam? Excuse me. Mr. Passmore, are you here? Thank you. Is there anyone in attendance who wishes to speak in favor of the application? Mr. Passmore, should you wish to speak, now is the time. Okay, thank you, sir. Is there anyone else in attendance who wishes to speak in favor of this application? Is there anyone in attendance who wishes to speak against or in general to this application? Anything else from council? Mover, seconder, please. Wells, Brunton. Those in favor of closing the public meeting, that's carried. Thank you. What's your wishes? Mr. Columbus, please.
Move approval as per recommendation.
Mr. Brunton, you willing to second that? Thank you, sir. Columbus has moved. Brunton has seconded that the application of William Passmore, 1333 Charlotteville Road, 8, Ontario. This affects the lands described as part of Lot 17, Concession 8, in the geographic township of Charlotteville, Norfolk County. This is to amend the Norfolk County zoning bylaw 1Z 2014. The file number is there in front of you, recommended for approval, and the reasons are set out in DCS 1717. Discussion on the motion. Excuse me, those in favor? It's carried, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Passmore. Ladies, thank you. Alicia, thank you very much. I would like to return then, if I may, to our reports from our committees. I would like to go to page 75 of your agenda. This is the Tourism and Economic Development Advisory Board minutes dated February the 27th, excuse me, 2017, moved by Geisen, seconded by Oliver, that the minutes of the Tourism and Economic Development Advisory Board meeting of February the 27th, 17, be received as information. Questions? Excuse me. Those in favor? Carried. Councillor Oliver.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was a little slow getting my page opened up there. I did have one quick question, if you don't mind, on page 76, second paragraph, which is with respect to the South Coast Business Coalition on the status of their project. We know Mr. Sheik had intended to come as a deputation a week or two ago, I think, to give council an update on this downtown revitalization. Can staff, by any chance, give us another update as to when they're going to come back again? I'm not sure why he canceled his deputation, but I think we are anxious to get them here in front of us to hear what is coming out of their initiative. I'm not sure who to direct that to. Mr. Baird?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Baird?
I don't know specifically the reason. I know Mr. Sheik was traveling. He's out of the area presently. He wasn't able to join us at a meeting a few weeks ago, but I understand they're just in the process of finalizing some sort of report back to council and provide you with a bit of an action plan. I don't know anything further than that, but I will certainly let Mr. Sheik know upon his return that council is most willing to hear what sort of next steps they're going to be putting forward.
Anything further? Thank you very much. We'll move on then. Page 107 has been moved by Councillor Columbus, seconded by Councillor Brunton, that the 2016 annual report of the Environmental Advisory Committee be received as information. Any questions or comments on those minutes? Those in favor? I'm getting the impression you gentlemen want to get home by dark. No headlights on the cars, eh? Okay. Very good. I will then go to page 113, our last resolution on the reports, moved by Wells, second by Oliver, that the minutes of the Port Dover Harbor Museum dated February the 6th, 2017 be received as information. discussion here. I do want to make one little comment. The other night, my wife said, let's go for a drive. I said, where do you want to go? She said, Port Dover. We drove down to the museum. It was night, it was dark, but the Kellenberg engine display is pretty well complete. It's enclosed. As you know, this is the engine that Mr. Barrett had been working on, Harry Barrett, for a number of years. It's lit up, it's rayed up. You don't even have to get out of the car. It's incredible. It's just another asset there in Norfolk County that I'm extremely impressed. So for those that had involvement with it, I had none, other than some discussions. Wow. Wonderful. Mr. Wells, any comments? You had a look at it?
Certainly have seen it on many occasions. It's certainly a welcome addition to the community. That whole park down there is certainly and the new curator
That's fine.
that we have is doing a wonderful job. engaging
Angela
the
Wallace,
community,
yes.
The community involved. So those are real good things. And the only other thing I want to say while I'm on my feet, Mr. Mayor, I want to say that I knew that your wife was very clever and that she was just a wonderful person. And anybody that comes to Port Dover, I can't think of any other place to go except Port Dover. Thank you.
Thank you,
And
Councillor
congratulations
Wells.
to
You
me.
may be seated. Thank you. Any other discussions on the minutes? Those in favor, approval. Information carried. Thank you. She came to see the engine. She didn't come to see you, Councillor Wells. Let's get that straight. Page 116, communications, please. Moved by Brunton, seconded by Columbus, that the correspondence from Keith Murch of the Grand River Conservation Authority respecting the authority's 2017 budget be received as information. It starts on page 117. I noticed in there, somewhere in there when I read through this, that our contribution to the Grand River Conservation is just over $30,000 per annum. Any comments or questions on this correspondence? Those in favor, please. Carried. Another correspondence from Keith Murch. Again, Columbus has moved, Geisens has seconded that the correspondence from Keith Murch of the Grand River Conservation Authority respecting the summary of the 2017 municipal levy be received as information. Any discussion here? Those in favor? Carried. Yes, sir. Councillor Brunton.
Just a question on that, and I asked this, I guess, a few years ago. I know we don't have any representation on the board, but our contribution, you're correct, is around $30,000. But I wondered, looking at the different levy requirements for the other areas, and I'm on page, I guess 164, and I just wondered, do all those other municipalities have representation? Does anybody know for sure? Like, some of them are a lot less than us, their levy. But I just wondered if they have representation. Does it?
Councillor Oliver probably could shed as much light as anybody. Go ahead, please.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor, and to Councillor Brunton. Some of them, Doug, are grouped, and so there might be several of the small remote townships that are grouped together, and collectively they would have one person representing their interests on the board. And I would say that's the same for us, because I think we're represented formally by one of the representatives from Haldeman County. So we do have representation via Haldeman County on their board.
Oh, I thought you meant our board, but
No, I mean on
Okay.
on the GRCA board.
thank you.
Thank you. Good question. I looked at it, Waterloo and Guelph, of course, about 75% of their total $10 million budget comes from the urban areas there. Anything else? carried. That was a question after. I thought so, but I'm not sure. Thank you very much. And our last communication is on 165. This is a request. The letter there to our clerk is on 165, a request from Julie Erb. She's the president, Touch of Haven, which is on the Radical Road. And they also have a location in Dunville, I'm aware of that. This request is for a donation in kind usage of the Port Dover Community Center for Saturday, April the 22nd, 2017, as this is a fundraiser for the program. Any discussion on this request? Councillor Wells, please.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, I did happen to have the privilege of hearing Julie make deputation to the Port Dover Community Foundation, of which she was successful in getting a grant of $3,000 from that foundation, I should say. And Mr. Mayor, while I certainly think she did an excellent job and I certainly support her program, I don't think I will be supporting this request to waive the fees. Because all it does is, in all honesty, it gives money to that group, but we have to get it from someplace else because there is a cost to running the Port Dover Community Center. And truthfully, I cannot see myself being able to support this. Not that I don't support what she's doing. Thank you, Mr.
Okay, I don't have a motion yet. We'll get to that. Councillor Columbus, please.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I see this as a non-for-profit incorporated organization, but is this 100% volunteer-based, this organization, or is there expenses go with it? Like, do they have a profit and loss statement, or does anybody know?
I cannot answer that, and I have met with this lady, but I can't recall. It was some time ago whether it's 100% not-for-profit or not. I do not know. That's something I should have asked, I think. One suggestion is that we could receive this as information. Councillor Oliver? Thank you. Wells?
Any problem with receiving the information, but how will she know that really her request has been denied?
Receiving this information means no money.
That's what it means to us.
That's what
I'm not
yeah.
necessarily sure it means that to the person receiving the letter.
We'll get it right from our clerk, see what he says.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, we'll send her a letter and also indicate that council has considered it and there's no further action other than receiving it.
Thank you, Councillor Wells, for that clarification. You've heard the motion. Further comments, questions? If not, those in favor, receive his information. That's carried. Thank you. We have no deputations or presentations this evening. We do, however, have one staff report. Let's go to page 184, please. I bet you're going to give us the report, Mr. Baird.
I'll do it as quickly as I can.
Oh,
Mr. Mayor.
You have the floor.
Thank you. The report before you here, DCS 17-26, is quite simply just to authorize the mayor and clerk to enter into a listing agreement for the sale of industrial lands in the Judd Industrial Park. It's a partnership through SCORE, the South Central Ontario Region Economic Development Corporation, and the 168canada.com Corporation, a Chinese group looking to build investment opportunities in Canada, specifically within the SCORE region. In order to authorize the mayor and clerk to authorize or to sign the agreement, we need council's approval, and this would be consistent with typical real estate transactions, whereby standard 5% of the sale price would go back to the agent, in this case Mr. John Lee, who is going to represent this Canada or 168 Canada. We sell our serviced industrial land for $26,500. We have approximately 13 acres available, and the agreement would cover a 2-year time period. And with that, I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Councillor Black.
Thank you very much, Mayor Luke, and through you to Chris Baird. I wasn't really fully understanding why this is even here. I always thought that anybody dealing in real estate would need to be a real estate broker under the Real Estate and Business Brokers Act, RECO, Real Estate Council of Ontario. Is this person a real estate broker?
Through the mayor, I understand, yes, he absolutely is. He's again, a local representative. The purpose for the agreement was because it involves the sale of land to a foreign country or foreign organization, and it's typically customary. This is what's done as a middle broker, if you will, to work on behalf of, in this case, a Chinese group when they're seeking lands, in this case in Ontario and within the SCORE region.
Okay, so they couldn't deal directly with us? Or even through the real
no.
estate board?
I'm, again, through the mayor, this has been brokered through the SCORE group, and it's being put in place through all the SCORE members through their municipal holdings or groups that would have municipal industrial land for sale.
Okay, and then we'd be paying them 5%? Is that what it was?
That's correct. And again, that's customary with what we would normally do for a local broker that would put together a land sale deal on behalf of a client.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Height.
Thank you, Mayor Luke. My question has to, it would probably be best directed to our treasurer. Do we have an industrial park land reserve? And is there any money in it?
You always ask me these questions.
I know.
Yes, there is, but I don't know what it is, but I will certainly find out. Do you know what it is? Maybe you should be over here.
Councillor Height, with that question, Mr. Ford, we do have what has been a healthy industrial land reserve, but it has been diminished with the construction of the Luscombe Drive extension past the local greenhouse group, but there are funds there, and it acts as the in and out for the sale of these lands and so on. Sell the land, build the road, service it, and so on.
Okay, so the proceeds from this, the $344,000 minus the commission, will it go back into the industrial park land reserve account or into the other one?
Through the mayor, absolutely, that's correct. It stays there with that project.
Okay, and do we have any plans in the future to light up some more industrial land?
Again, through the mayor, our planning staff did an industrial land review, so it's we don't have a finite, or we do have a finite resource right now. We're looking at working in Cortland, Delhi, and Simcoe on those available industrial lands. Based on the studies, we do tell based on the uptake, we have sufficient lands for the next 5-year horizon. But of course, if an opportunity were to come along, we would be back before council looking at
And when you say the lands that are available, is that Norfolk County-owned land or private lands?
Both. Through the mayor, we know there's a very large private holding, Titan Trailers in the Cortland area, as well as the Cortland Industrial Park. So we're always marketing for one another, but we do have, again, 13 acres right now that would be ready to be developed as fully serviced. So we want them to be aware what's available here in our community.
Okay, because one of the problems with Cortland, there's no septic as far as the development goes, so...
Yeah, that is correct, Councillor Height. So that does have an impact on the types of, if it's a heavy water user or heavy treatment, we would maybe direct those to a different community, but it certainly does work well for manufacturing, and I think that's the case. Councillor Geisens has got some very major manufacturing companies in his ward.
Right, but the septic would limit it by the number of employees, because you need to deal with that as well, do you not?
Well, of course, through employee numbers, there's the basic water needs, but in a case like transport trailer manufacturing is really light water use. It may only be used in the paint process. So those companies can really flourish as opposed to, say, a vegetable processor or something like that that would need really high water volumes and would have issues with organics and wastewater and so on.
Okay, thank you. The reason why I'm bringing this up, Mr. Chair, I was in discussions with my counterpart for Brant County, and obviously you know the Brant County Industrial Park off of the 403. Councillor Columbus was with me that day as well when we were talking about it. They have a lot of interest in that park right now. Adidas has come down to one of their other spots, and they have 2 or 3 other very large clients looking. And one of the reasons that they designed that industrial park itself was because Toyotsu ended up in Norfolk County. So if we have some shovel-ready land, there will be some development opportunities likely come our way. So thank you.
Thank you. Anything else on this report? You've heard the report, moved by Oliver, seconded by Brunton. The staff report, DCS 1726. This is 168canada.com Corporation listing agreement. We receive it as information, and further that the mayor and clerk be authorized to execute a listing agreement specific to the region People's Republic of China. Discussion? Those in favor? Carried. Any reports from council members, the committees you sit on, anything to share with us? I will now go to bylaws. It's been moved by Councillor Geisens and seconded by Councillor Brunton that bylaws 2017-27 and 2017-28 be deferred to the March 28, 2017 council meeting, and that bylaws 12Z 2017 through 14Z 2017 inclusive, and bylaws 2017-21, 2017-29, 2017-30, and 2017-31 be approved, signed by the mayor, clerk, and affixed with the corporate seal. Discussion on these bylaws. Councillor Black, please.
The ones being deferred, is that the one-way, the laneway? Is that the one?
Andy, 2017-27 and 2017-28, they are?
27, 28, rate of speed. Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Through you, Mr. Mayor, they're just being deferred so staff can provide a memo to provide you more details upon them.
Provide more details. Oh, okay, thanks.
Lower rate of speed is 28, 27 to regulate traffic. One-way streets, okay. Discussion on the bylaws? Those in favor? Carried. Two motions this evening to deal with. I'm on page 206. Our first motion is the 2018 budget direction. I'll put the motion on the floor, then we'll discuss it, okay? Moved by Councillor Black, seconded by Councillor Oliver. Whereas effective budget deliberations require a commitment to represent the goals of the corporation in a manner that is respectful of the role of taxpayers, staff, and council, and whereas the 2017 operating levy budget deliberations resulted in many areas of reduction, without council seeking comment of staff. Therefore, be it resolved that council directs staff to investigate budget processes and present options for alternative processes or enhancements for council's consideration, and that the report be presented in a time frame which allows the new county manager to review and approve, upon the condition that the report is still presented with sufficient time to allow for the adoption of new processes in the 2018 budget. And further, that at the time the staff report is presented, council deliberate upon providing clear guidance to staff to assist in preparation of the 2018 budget. That's the motion. Councillor Black, you're the mover. You may speak.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I'm presenting this motion because of concerns over our last budget deliberations. I thought that maybe we needed to have some discussions about what type of a budget process would be most appropriate and the most efficient, effective, and involving both staff, council, and the public. And I thought that this motion would allow staff to come back with some options on how we could better deal with the operating budget process or capital, any budgets for that matter. And when they bring back those options, then this council can have a good debate on what they feel is the most appropriate way to proceed. So maybe with next year's budget, it might go a little bit more smoothly, or it might be something that's a process developed and agreed upon by all council that may help facilitate the process just a little bit better. So that's the purpose of this.
Thank you very much. Councillor Oliver, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think Councillor Black's motion is a good one, that we will look at some alternative ways of getting ourselves into the annual operating budget process. As you well know, Mr. Mayor and Councillor Geisens, we had some brief discussion about this even this afternoon, and I know Councillor Height wasn't able to be there, at the Program Review Committee. And the idea of setting some guidelines well in advance of draft budget preparation as an example of one of the approaches was talked about. So I think it would be very helpful to all of us, both council and staff members, to have some options presented in front of us, and maybe we'll adopt one that we think will help streamline the process. So I thank Councillor Black for bringing this motion forward.
Thank you, Councillor Oliver. Any other discussion? See where it goes. Those in favor? Opposed? See none. That's carried. Thank you, Councillor Black, for that. We have one more motion. Moved by Councillor Black, seconded by Councillor Wells. Whereas methadone clinics have a potential to create a negative impact upon surrounding businesses, and whereas council would like to regulate the establishment of new methadone clinics through applying appropriate zoning, and whereas council wants to ensure such zoning is done in a manner that is respectful of the need for access to addiction treatment and supports in our community, with a desire to remove, not add barriers to those seeking treatment. Therefore, be it resolved that staff be directed to investigate preparing an interim control bylaw to place a one-year hold upon the establishment of methadone clinics in downtown areas in order to allow staff time to study and issue further, and that staff engage the county solicitor to review and, if required, provide advice to council upon the issue of the interim control bylaw. Councillor Black, to the motion.
Again, maybe an explanation to my fellow colleagues. I don't believe any other wards have methadone clinics in their downtowns or in their wards, so they may not quite understand the pros and cons of a methadone clinic. And certainly, I have to say that I recognize the need for methadone clinics. I recognize the need that there are people with addictions, and the provincial government is trying to mitigate the problems that these people are having, trying to get off of other drugs, and this is a way to do it. So, but it seems to be becoming a lot more controversial in that it might be good for a certain group of people, and it's addressing their particular needs, but it's certainly not addressing others. And initially, when these clinics were located in downtown Simcoe, one initially on Water Street, and then a second one just at the end of Water Street, very close proximity to each other, there was some concerns that people brought to my attention from businesses, and Since then, the one business, the paint store, has moved, and that store is now vacant, has been vacant since then, since their move. And another store, Jordan Stewart's, who has contacted me in the past with concerns about the methadone clinics, and subsequently she is no longer there. I've been getting calls frequently from people, not just in the downtown Simcoe, the businesses themselves, but people that come down to shop that have concerns about the location of, I guess you could say it's something like the strip clubs. You know, where is it the most appropriate place to locate these facilities? And I know we have to. We may not be able to move them, but I've had a business send me some information about a community, I think it was in Alliston. I'm not sure if I've sent it out to my fellow colleagues or not. I may have. If not, I can. And they were concerned about methadone clinics in their downtown. And there is information now that they have been established, what other municipalities or how they're dealing with it. Some are regulating. If they cannot move them, they can regulate them or license them and control them better, maybe the hours. This interim control bylaw would at least put a hold on any other ones coming or relocating in any place in our downtowns throughout Norfolk County. And I'm sure, well, I'm not so sure, but I'm not sure if any other my fellow colleagues would be willing to locate one of these clinics in their downtowns. Probably not. And I'm not sure why they're not going out to the highways, maybe Walmart, because Walmart's a very busy place where a lot of these people frequent. But I really think that staff can come back and tell us where would be the most appropriate place for clinics to be located. And Mr. Mayor, you know, I was told, had concerns right at the beginning that they're allowed in the downtown because it's zoned properly. And it says medical clinics, are allowed in the CBDs of our downtowns, which would include all the other downtowns as well. But since then, I've heard some people say, well, again, we all know the devil's in the details, the description of what is a medical clinic. So is this a medical clinic to serve people on methadone, or is this actually something else that we're doing? Anyway, that sort of thing can be reviewed by staff as well, like the definition of medical clinic. And I know it's becoming a controversial issue in other areas as well. And it's being written about, and I was just given this article, a recent article from the National Post, March the 8th, 2017. I'm not going to read it all, but certainly there's one bit in here about the methadone does harm reduction. Researchers have conveniently neglected to investigate any potentially negative findings of their policies. And I guess, you know, you come up with this idea, it's a good thing for one area, but not necessarily for other places where businesses, and they have human rights as well. I hear people talk about the human rights of people in need of methadone. Yes, I agree they need it. But, you know, at a cost of chasing other businesses and other people away. I mean, I can give you a good example of my own apartment building where, you know, I have 4 apartments upstairs, and if I have 4 good tenants, it's great. But if you get one tenant that's bad, and they start driving the other good ones away, what good is that? It doesn't serve anybody any good. It's not serving the clients of and users of methadone either. So I think that both groups can be served a lot better if we allow